Just please, because obviously I should start recording. Really.
Are you recording, Martin?
As usual, yes. I'm happy to say that it's very handy for people. I was very delayed in putting it on and got complaints that it wasn't on this time.
Really?
I've actually forgotten about a week or two later that I suddenly found it as
Hold
well.
on a second. I don't know where it's going to go. Wait a minute. And we're off.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Another busy day, another busy meeting. Let's kick straight off with apologies. Here, apologies and reasons for absence. Any apologies received?
No apologies at all.
So we have missing is Hannah Williams and Sylvia. Okay. Thank you very much. I can shut up to you. Thank you very much though for the reminder, because you know what my memory's like. So do we have enough proposal?
I don't think we propose it. I think we just note that there's no apologies. Because it did look a bit silly on the minutes
Fine.
of last week.
Fine.
No disrespect to the craft, but it just...
Okay, so we will move on then. Declarations of members' interest and applications for dispensation. Do I have any declarations of members' interest or applications for dispensation? I'm looking around the room and I don't see anybody stepping forward, so we'll take that as a no. Deputations from members of the public.
No.
I never quite know it, but yeah, okay, thank you. To confirm the accuracy of the minutes from the meeting held on the 12th of March, so that's item 4. Councillor Brooks.
Yes, I had a couple, but I did actually give up because it's been a difficult day. The flower contract on the minute 4/25/12, I believe the wording should be changed to suggest that there's an increase of only £300, not that it's costing us £300. That's on page 4, if anyone at the bottom.
I don't see the words I'm looking at.
So
It's on
do you
page 4.
Page 4 of the minutes at the bottom, it's the Oakham
Do
floral
you mean
display.
an extra cost of £303?
You want an additional statement that says an additional...
Yeah, because
£300.
it actually mistakenly says that the council can see this is only £300.
Oh, okay.
It should say extra.
Yeah. So however you want to word it, but it shouldn't say that it costs
It should be
£300. It's an
303, shouldn't it? £23 extra. So you're happy with that wording if we just add the word extra, councillor?
Yeah, that's fine. It's only as we said before, minor
Well,
thing. The other one, which is slightly more important, which I do believe the clerk, but I think we have to do it in the meeting, said that it would be included. I think it's important that the formal statement which was sent out by the chairman on behalf of the council that was agreed in page 6 should be included in the minutes, because that's a historic record.
good to advise on that.
That was agreed.
Yeah, it was agreed. Okay, good.
Okay, so
Agreed.
that was not a mistake, it was just a...
Addition.
Yeah. That was all.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Anybody else? Okay, with those amendments as discussed with Councillor Brooks, could I have a proposer, please? First one up was over there.
First one?
Yeah.
Seconder?
Councillor Wadsworth. And I'll let you catch up with the writing done. Can have a vote on that, please? Accept the minutes. Thank you very much indeed. Done. Councillors' reports and questions.
Oh, sorry, before we move on, there was another thing, I've just found it. Councillor Brooks requested the public notice of the toilet refurbishments placed on the notice board, blah, blah, blah.
Which is that? Which one? Which page is this?
Something, I've forgotten what it was now, but I marked it, but something didn't quite read.
Do you want to come back to... I feel certain if it's a minor amendment.
Yeah, leave it because it's
Okay.
well only.
We have in fact voted
But I put a
separately.
big star against it, so I know there was something.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. So moving on to item 5, councillor reports and questions. Are there any councillors' reports? Councillor Wadsworth.
Just a quick one. On the Facebook page, I put on a little thing saying what do you think to the planter surrounds that we've put on, and we've had 83 responses and all positive.
Good gum. So we
yes.
just got to persuade
So we
those
just
who in blue
need
that they
to
want
do
them.
the best, yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So it's a good choice. I think you made a choice on the night, didn't you?
We did.
Anybody got anything else they wish to questions or reports? Councillor Clark? You look pensive.
I want to mention I attended Alf Jewis's funeral yesterday.
Yes.
Yes, I was saying to his wife, for me, Alf was really important because it was he who set up the neighbourhood plan steering group. And I have a letter at home which shows the process he went through. So without Alf's influence, we probably would not have had a neighbourhood plan. And he was very supportive at the time when it was set up. So I just, as I say, both the deputy clerk, although it was her day off yesterday.
But what about the chair lady before him? Sorry, I shouldn't speak out of turn, but he didn't set it up.
Okay, let's.
So I have a letter at home which we had when it was set up, and what I liked about the letter is he actually put in a lot of controls which we needed later on, but it was, as I say, part of my role as chair of that. He was very influential.
So I was going to discuss the funeral.
Yeah, you did a better job, Chris. Certainly a better job than Michael
Do you have
Haley.
something to say?
Sorry, I did, and I'm sorry I shouldn't speak out.
Okay, thank you.
But it's
Good.
quite.
So, any more reports or questions from the floor? In which case, we'll move on. The next statement is the chairman's and clerk's report. Well, I have a statement, a couple of statements I wish to make about what I've been up to. And I really ought to start and say that for the duration of this evening's meeting, as is usual, we will be suspending Standing Order 3I, and as Chairman, I waive the requirement to stand when speaking unless you wish to do so. I should have thrown that at the beginning, so humble apologies. As has already been said, mentioned by Councillor Clark, Alfred Robinson Jewis' funeral was held yesterday, and I certainly was unable to attend, but very kindly and out of the goodness of his heart, Councillor Clark and indeed the Deputy Clerk did attend the meeting and signed on behalf of ourselves. So thank you very much for that. Does anybody want to say anything about Alf? No? Okay, thank you. For me, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what I've been up to, and actually it's not all been me. The Spring Fair, I want to take this opportunity again to thank SAW councillors. Just what happened in my time last month. I want to say thank you for their sterling efforts in organising what was a very successful event, so that was good. And of course, Kathleen, mustn't forget her. And my humble bit was just to judge the best dressed window event with the Lord Lieutenant of Rutland. That's actually much better than I expected. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and there were some very, very good efforts. Uppingham Mayor's Ball, thank you all very much for that. My wife and I thoroughly enjoyed the event. It was this, and a significant amount of money was raised for the Uppingham Hopper. So on Monday the 17th of March, we did, the town clerk and myself actually got the Oakham Home Garden and Allotment Society lease signed in his chambers. Monday the 24th of March, we had initial opening discussions with, and please forgive the pronunciation, Joanna Topalova from BT Planning, who was talking about the BT Smart Hubs, and that was brought up later when we did the
Town
meeting.
centre.
Thank you, the town centre meeting. So that hopefully, they have come back to me, hopefully we'll progress that. On Tuesday, the 25th of March, Chris and I went to a site meeting with Metcalfe and Edison's regarding progress in the toilet refurbishment, and I'd really like your opinions about the colours before you leave today, please. We met with the retailers. Anybody, I know you were there, Sally Ann, Councillor Wadsworth, please accept my apologies, and so was Councillor Thomas, do you want to say something? No. And was Councillor Clark. There's quite a few of us there, and I thought it was successful. Does anybody want to add anything about that? No, the launch of the...
I was particularly impressed by the presentation about the Discover
Yes.
Oakham
Yes.
website. It really did look.
It promises to be good, doesn't it?
It does indeed, yes, absolutely.
It does promise to be good, and we were being promised initially for Easter. I think that's probably slipped a little bit now, but nonetheless, it was looking good, and hopefully, that and the BT Smart Hubs will make a huge difference. Tuesday the 25th, meeting with retailers at the Wisteria, we just talked about that, I need to dwell on it. Monday the 31st, Twinning Association meeting at Royal House. And Councillor Clark and myself attended that, and it was a long, interesting session.
Yes.
Yes.
Some good ideas, I thought.
Yes,
Yeah.
do you want to say anything about that?
No, just watch this space, really. I think.
Yes, I think so. On the 3rd of April, I attended the declaration of the High Sheriff at Oakham Council. It would have been good to have seen me in my finery. I'm sure you would have appreciated that. On Friday the 4th, with Councillor Wadsworth, we met with Tom Tyler and Joanna Burrows, trustees of Victoria Hall, to discuss the paper that we pushed forward is coming through to Council today, so that'll be discussed at that point. And yesterday, which is why I couldn't be at Alf's funeral, was attended the King's Award for Enterprise in Oakham Castle, so that was very interesting. I was mightily impressed. So thank you, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep it fairly brief because it's a long agenda. The main thing obviously we're working on is we've got to the end of the financial year, and I'm working with the Chair of Finance to go through this. Recently, in fact yesterday, Rialtus went through all of our account system, and I would say they gave us an A+, because basically there was no real faults in it at all. It looked as though our general balance reserves have been taken over by about 25 to 30k extra from the general reserves, which is what I basically predicted at the start of the year, maybe 40k. Obviously, with the complication we had was with the 50k UK SPF funds suddenly appearing in the midterm. We have now, in my opinion, successfully spent that money in capital and revenue terms, and obviously we're now working hard on the toilets in Church Street, which I'm sure you can see. So Rialtus has signed us off, that's happened. The internal audit will take place late May. Me and Councillor, let's just say the Chair of Finance, easier. Chair of Finance are fixing a date for that. So we will bring to the May meeting the questions that he's asked, we need to answer on what the internal and external audit said to us last year and how we've addressed them. So we'll look through that before the May meeting, and you can then as a council see how we feel we've addressed it, because obviously what you have to do is you get the internal and external audit addressed, and then you address it through the year as quickly as you can. So we aren't a perfect council, but we're getting there. We're obviously, as you know, we've changed our financial regulations. The one thing I should say is from the 1st of April we're now using Lloyd's bank account, and we are now using 3 signatories for every payment. That gives us some complications, but we're working through those complications and we will get there. We still have the HSBC bank account. We are therefore spreading the load, as Councillor Brooks would say, because we have probably about 400, 500k in capital, in revenue in our bank accounts at the moment. But the precept is now, thankfully, unlike UK SPF, paid into the Lloyds, so we have substantial sum there to pay any of our bills. So from now on, we will work through and slowly but surely add the bills, invoices that we need to. We'll address the one thing we will have to set up. I'm sorry I'm wittering on a bit, but obviously we will now have to have a different system of accountability for each bill that's paid, because there will be 3 signatories, and the third one will not necessarily print off the fact that they've actually signed it off. But that means I've spoken to Uppingham and doing the same thing. It just means less paperwork, which is always good. But from now on, 3 signatories, so we are now complying with our financial regulations as invoked this year.
Great stuff.
Okay,
Anybody got any questions about my report and the clerk's report?
Just a quick, because my name was mentioned. I mean, I was actually going to ask about it later in the meeting, the fact why we weren't getting bank statements from Lloyd's, but if you've not been using it until, as you put it, the 1st of April, then that explains
Correct.
why. So hopefully next meeting we will see.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Any more? Thank you, everybody. So we'll move on then. I don't think we need to vote on that. So any correspondence received? Item 7.
No, that's worthy of report.
Moving on to the bank statements. Now, there's been a lot of debate by email. So what I'm proposing to do is that we take the low-hanging fruit first, which is actually, we'll discuss items 8, 1, 2, 3 and 4 before we go to item 5 and subsequently item 6. So
1, 2, 3, 4. That's
yeah, it just makes it bigger chunks, I hope. Councillor Watson.
Okay, a couple of questions. We've paid Biffa £11,156.16. Martin's now told me that it was for the clean-up, so I know what it was for now. But I just questioned why we were paying Biffa, because I don't think we had anything to do with Biffa anymore. But that explains that. On the 14th of March, we spent £120.30 on ring binders, is that right?
Yes. That's correct, Councillor.
For what purpose?
This was asked for by the chairman, who is looking at me, because what we're going to put together, once we've done all the new regulations, we're going to give a binder for each of the councillors so that they have a bound copy of all our policies in one place.
Okay.
Rather like this.
Yeah, we used to buy those before, yeah.
So we've effectively the 120s for purchasing a machine that can do this.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yes, all new councillors used to get it.
Yes, and that's what we're picking that up again.
Okay, and the last one is also on 14. Princess Avenue, Oakham Sun Limited. What's that for?
That was for fire extinguishers. They had to be serviced and maintained. That's a legal requirement.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. And
I have.
try to restrict comments to 8.1 to 8.4, but any more?
Yeah, they do slightly overlap some, don't they, with this thing and that thing. But I had a question. I sort of probably know what it's for, but it's an unusual one that we paid Rutland Morris
That's for the
£100.
Yes, that's for the Morris dancing at the spring event.
Oh, we have to pay them.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Again, the free
And they got a free ride on the train.
I was going to say, was that free for the ride that we paid for that as well?
Careful what you say.
No, I don't have
I
an
thought they
issue.
were
I don't have an issue, but it just was an extraordinary thing to see on there that we don't normally pay them. That's all.
That's it?
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know
could
what
I
about
have a
it.
proposer and second just to accept? Sorry.
No,
Right,
I was
proposer check.
anticipating.
So 8.1 to 8.4 to propose.
Who's proposing? You're proposing, yeah.
And what's his name? Seconded.
And
What's
you're
his
second.
name?
What's his name? Chris Clark.
Councillor Clark. Okay, good. And can I have a vote, please? Thank you very much indeed. Moving on then, so we're going to look at 8.5, which is the spend stroke transfer of 5k requiring approval. So who wants to start discussing this? Councillor Brooks, you're champing at the bit, so
Yes.
I'll unleash you.
Obviously, I've written to members quite a bit about this, and I will say that the fact that after 2 months of being on the council, it was an improvement that we actually got to this stage where we authorised a list. But in the good old days of Richard White, we used to follow the Local Government Act and actually authorise with the Local Government Act and have a proper audit trail, which is a requirement. I know you're all saying that you're moving forward in the right direction, but I think things like this need to be sorted pretty quick, because I don't want to go at the end of the year to the external auditor and say, look, I object to these payments because there's no proper audit trail, when the council will be billed £600 plus for each objection. It's not me making it up, it is something that should be done. I also have an issue with the fact that we seem to have gone back to retrospective, because this includes payments that have already been made. There are a lot on the bank statement that have been paid. Now, we were told in the meeting that that wouldn't happen, and that's the purpose of this coming to us. Whether this is in the wrong format or not, these should not be paid before we approve it.
Were they not authorised?
And the bin.
Authorised before in full council.
But in February?
Yeah, but this is the confusion we're getting. Just because we turn round in a meeting and say, yes, we want to spend £11,000 on the road sweeping and cleaning or whatever, there is an audit procedure. Yes, we've done that. But what this should show is BIFA, Local Government Act, which I showed in the email, have done this work, you give an explanation, you then refer to that agenda item where we agreed originally for the expenditure and the amount. And then we sit here and go, yes, that's fine. We can see we agreed at a previous meeting. Then the office pay it.
Chris next.
Yeah, if I may comment. I understand what you're saying, Martin. My concern is that, for instance, if we don't have payment terms with a number of these accounts, where do we sit in terms of the period between where we agree the original payment?
Yeah.
Then there's a period whereby the service may or may not occur.
That's fine, yeah.
And then we have to sit and reconcile and agree these payments. Correct?
Yeah, but that's the law.
So, assuming we have to have some level of payment terms in the interim with whoever we are using.
Yeah, and we've had these issues before. I said when Richard was here, we had an issue with hanging baskets where it was written in the audit report that it shouldn't have happened, but Richard used to like to pay things on time, and there was a delay of it coming to the meeting, and that complaint was upheld because he paid it and brought the official document to council for approval, and the auditor said no. So it's just the process.
But what if we don't have any credit terms with a company that we...
Well, they have to understand that it's a council. We have to abide by the law of the Local Government Act. And if need be, if, for instance, it has happened in the past, if you have a payment and the creditor is saying, we actually want the payment by the end of the month, then the chairman or the clerk calls a special meeting to approve it. It's a safeguard and an audit trail. It's not me being difficult.
So what's the point in us approving a payment?
Can I just interject this one? Because I've just looked at the February payments authorised just over 5k,
Yeah.
and I can see that we've got the Rutland web designer there.
So why are we
See
getting
that
them again tonight then?
Because we added the invoice numbers, I suspect. I'd have to ask the clerk why that's there. I can see that we've added BIFA.
We deferred Edison's because that was very clear. We deferred that
2 and 3
to have it
months,
put
totally.
as the proper contract
But the
thing.
point I'm trying to make is that I believe that these had been authorised in February.
So we have a bit of a confusion because actually now
We
looking
can
at that, I
clarify
can't
that.
remember the web design one now.
Yeah, the web design, BIFA, Zurich Annual Insurance, Windflower Windows must review of the annual contract, okay, and...
So can I ask?
Edison's toilet refurbishment was brought in at that point, and I
And
think
it
that
was
was agreed, and
deferred.
2, 3, and the following payments were deferred, I believe.
But they've all
According to the
been
minutes.
paid. So can I ask that this is deferred?
I don't think that's necessary. I think we've proved that.
Well, the ones that may not have been approved. See, we don't need to approve Zurich because Zurich
It's been done.
that gets done in the budget.
Yes.
But the point is, Mark,
Reoccurring payments don't have to come to council because you do that in the budget. I read it. But what I'm saying is that obviously there's a huge confusion on here now. So we're being asked to approve things that apparently we approved before.
No, I think it's just clearly say at the top, if I may.
Yeah.
Payments of over 5,000 were made. Payments of over 5,000 were made in March, and then the anticipated payment is in April. So maybe it's caused confusion with you that actually.
Well, no, if we've already approved, you pointed out last meeting we approved, or the council approved,
We did them all.
the Rutland web design.
We did.
So the proposal is that we approve all these payments again.
No,
and
it does say,
may-
no, it doesn't say that. It
It
says
says
quite
to
clearly.
authorise the payments, transfers to be made in March 2025 and the additional stage payments in April and May. So we're being asked to go 2 months ahead for toilets and refurbishment. So to me, this has got it's gone wrong. So what I would like is to defer it, and maybe the chair of finance can work and make sure that we can sort it out properly, because we're not going to sort it out.
Have we made
Quibbling.
Have we made all these
All the
payments?
payments
They've all been made, which is
Well, can I suggest an amendment to the proposal, and if I table that, and then we can vote on. So the proposal currently says the council authorises the payments. If we change that, council notes the payment transfers to be made in March 25. It's just noting them, and the additional stage payments in April and May for the toilet refurbishment. So the additional payments in April are for the toilet refurbishments and need to be authorised. That's.
no, because they're not, the toilet ones are not being presented in the correct thing, because we've got to be careful on that, because that's a contract total of over £100,000,
Okay.
and that's why it was deferred. There are total payment
They're
coming.
stage payments.
Yes, I know, but the total contract is
Yeah,
over
but we are paying for the
£100,000.
stage.
But it doesn't say that on
Councillor
there.
Brooks,
It
I
says
told-
stage 2, toilet contract.
Can I call this
Stage
meeting to
3,
order?
toilet
Can I call this meeting to order?
But it doesn't comply
Councillor Brooks,
with what we're supposed to be
thank you,
doing.
thank you everybody. Quite simply, we've got a proposal laid before us. We have got the fact that the Edison's toilets, and we have already said that we intend to minute to make sure that we comply with the legal requirement, which is to make sure that it's positively linked back. I think everybody is aware, but we will make sure that it's minuted that the Edison's toilet refurbishment is actually linked to the major contract, so that it's absolute belts and braces. And I think we could, so that's what we will do, and the council notes the payments transferred to be made in March 25. So just noting the points in March, and it is confusing, I grant you that. And the additional stage payments in April and May. So if we could, if I have a proposal for that motion, thank you. I propose, second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, and could we have a vote on that amended proposal, please? And, against?
Against, please.
Okay.
You want that recording?
Please.
Okay. Thank you very much. And if we could move on to the last item of this item, which is the UK capital, UK SPF and the SIL spreadsheet. So do we have any comments on the floor reference item 8.6? Councillor Ross? Anybody else? Can I have a proposal then to accept 8.6, please? Proposed by Councillor Guthrie, seconded, please. Thank you. Councillor Nix. And we have a vote on that, please. Councillor Brooks, are you, is that in favour?
It is, yes, sorry,
Thank you.
I'm trying to get
Good.
ahead to the next.
That was pleasant. Let's move on to item 9, which is the asset register, which is your paper, Mr. Fox.
Okay, the only obviously significant shift in all of this, and there'll always be shifts, because very much an asset is very much subjective, how much it's worth, how much it's going to be. But the big change for us this financial year is obviously the Queen Elizabeth statue. So that's now been added to the asset register, which means basically you don't have to be a mathematician to know that it's been valued at about 200,000. So Yes, on whistle.
Well, it's well worth the money as well, I was
Yeah.
whistling for
So
it.
it's 200,000 added to our asset register, and when you get the audit, you'll see as an asset we now have nearly 2 million in assets. Sounds great when you say it, I think, isn't it? So we've got 1,926,262 in assets. That's obviously the bowls club, the tennis club, Princess Avenue.
This is just
Furniture in it.
You'd be surprised how expensive all of this is.
And we know.
Can I ask the question, is it being depreciated though? Are we-
It will be depreciated. That is always, once again, in the eye of the beholder.
There's a businessman talking.
Oh, yeah.
How is the values of the assets calculated?
Yeah.
That is always.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, exactly.
So 2 or 3 people get together and
I think with some of the buildings, I do know they've had, local estimates from
It's-
worthy estate agents or whatever, but for others, I think it's a little more subjective.
it's a bit more subjective.
Yes.
Obviously, we will, in the fullness of time, and the chairman will agree, we're having a survey of the bowls and tennis clubs, so that will update its
Yeah.
value when that comes back, but we're still awaiting that.
Councillor Brooks.
Yes, one thing, because you say you've got a property log, but we don't have a copy of that as detailed in the property log. Now, are those assets, i.e. these sort of things that are dotted around which have a value?
Yeah.
I've got
So
the
we've
property log on the back
got
there.
another on the back. Yeah.
On the back of
Back of
the,
miscellaneous assets.
Yes, property log.
I've got a lot of pages. I'm sorry if I've...
Over the page.
Before
Do you want to see mine?
it's on the
I
first
have a
page.
lot of pages. I'm sorry if I've... But it doesn't... Oh, we've got a kettle,
There's the
but
property
I'm
log.
not sure that it does list the swords and things.
Regalia, no?
Yeah, but we know that's just for the chain, isn't it? And
No,
your
it's
chain.
for these two.
Yeah, for these two. So it's not including the swords, the ceremonial
Yes.
swords and things, is it?
Yes, yes.
Because
Yeah,
that's
all
worth
of
more
it.
than 20,000 when they last valued it.
I doubt that very much.
But that's what
All
we
I can
did.
say is that was the estimate, and with the price of gold and everything, I'm keeping it where it is at the moment.
Okay, right, it's fine. It's fine.
Any more questions from the floor?
No.
Okay, can I have a proposer then, please? Proposer to accept item number 9, a proposal to accept the tax asset register.
Second.
Proposer, seconder, thank you. And a vote, please. We accept that unanimously. Excellent. Thank you very much. Moving on to the church wall. This is it is falling down, and we've got to do something about it, and we have got 5 quotes to consider. Aren't we lucky? So any questions from the floor?
So this is the quote for
I can send it this.
They will need to be renewed, so I will need to go back and just check, but I don't think it's only a couple of months since we got these quotes. So this is from Metcalfe, Spinade, CL, RNC and AEC. Obviously you can see that the two competitive quotes in inverted commas are from Metcalfe, who are not holding this back, who are doing our toilets as we speak, and RNC who are based in London. Verbally, RNC have said they would consider a 10% discount, so I think it's between those two.
Let's work out the maths.
Yeah, a quick maths. I think Metcalfe and RNC are very competitive, and my view from meeting both of them, RNC in particular, seemed to they did a lot of work on Uppingham and on historical walls.
Oh, that's
And please be aware that we do not be in any doubt, because we've checked with LRAC and all the rest of it, because we have maintenance of the church grounds, the church walls are included. That is beyond dispute. And they are, I wouldn't say they're dangerous, that would be because they're only a metre and a bit tall. but they are in need of serious renovation. We will have to probably, all of these people think to consider the football will have to be closed. And obviously the golf room is, we are trying, have to sort out how we can get access to the business while the work's going on. So those are the two hiccups in the work. Obviously we're hopeful that tree roots are not making this worse. But most of the people who can go approach say the biggest problem we've got is we haven't got weed holes at the bottom of the wall.
I was just going to say that.
So it's what's happening is the water pressure is building up and pushing the walls out.
I was going to ask, because I haven't had time to look at every detail, but I can all see that they're going to do a similar thing, but I was actually going to ask about those holes, because I was aware that one of the issues is that over the years the footpath was resurfaced and they were blocked off, and that's why water builds up and we're getting these blowouts. But I was going to ask the chairman and the clerk, are they satisfied with the work that Metcalfe are doing on the toilets? Because you said you went for a tour and you can see the standard of their work.
Difficult for us to determine, given that all we saw was the ripping out.
Oh, okay.
When we talk to them, they, like RNC, they come across as competent, more than competent.
Because I wouldn't.
Could I just say my view, and obviously I haven't talked to the chair about this, is, and it's up to the council, I feel that the best way forward would be if me and the chair were to go and talk to Metcalfe and RNC and do further discussion, and if you could allow us to continue and award the contract to the one we feel is best, I feel that might be the way forward, but that's a suggestion from me. You're the council, it's up to you.
We'll approach that in just a second. Councillor Clark, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, when I looked at this, of course, it was quite difficult to identify the reasons for the differences in the quotations. When you have these conversations, have you seen examples of their work?
Obviously,
Or been in touch with customers who have been previous users of their services to get some feedback on the quality of that work?
the only one I've had positive feedback on is RNC, who've done substantial work in Uppingham on historic walls.
On a similar.
In fact, they did it outside, as you can see it, they did it outside of Uppingham Village Hall.
Okay, yeah, because it was just, looking at the prices, one needs to make sure that whoever we choose is skilled to do the job.
I don't think any of these, having looked at them and seen their CVs or portfolios, all of these are competent to do it. I don't understand why one has come out with such a high bid.
Yeah, three
you
times.
You can see
yeah.
the other four are all similar
Kind of
ish.
ballpark, yeah.
Okay, before I come to you, I will come to you. I just want to make a quick point. I've just done the 10% calculation for those that are interested in RNC. So their figure comes out at 15,066. So still not quite comparable with Metcalfe, but I just want to get that out there.
Remembering from my days of working for the church, and also an incident that Oakham Parish Church found themselves in, have we checked with the diocese whether we need a faculty for doing the work, because they will be disturbing the ground of a consecrated churchyard? It's never been deconsecrated. They got into trouble when they fitted their floodlights, I believe, many years ago, because they dug cables through without a faculty. Which means it has to be applied to the church court for permission to dig it.
Obviously, our view is that the church hall work needs doing. As soon as I get approval, obviously at this stage, I've already had preliminary talks with the vicar and the staff there, and told them we need to address that. I will go back as soon as this is approved, or how it's approved. I will go and talk to the diocese and see if we need to go back.
Yeah, because they will tell you, because if you do it, and it can cost big with the church court if you get it wrong.
Oh, we've got to make absolutely clear that the church is happy with what we're doing, when we're doing it, and get the permissions before we attempt anything.
If it had been
Yeah, yeah.
the word deconsecrated, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. I don't think there are any graves nearby, but that's neither.
It's a very you'd be surprised because many years ago more gravestones
Okay,
were
yeah.
visible,
Thank
and
you
it's
for
a
that,
very
Ray.
busy churchyard.
Yes, thank you. So we had a suggestion. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
It's only did you ask either of them about timescale? Because obviously if Metcalfe are very busy in the toilet, well, they're going to be wanting to do a bit more at the same time.
Okay. Obviously, when I first contacted them, and then UKPS turned up and all the rest of it. But the one thing that fundamentally they said they did, because obviously they're talking about not doing it with cement because of the limestone mortar and all that. I mean, and the water they're going to use, they didn't want to do it in the winter period where rain comes down, wash the water away and do it. So none of them were keen to do it in the timescale we needed for the UKSPF funds. So that got pushed to the summer when they want to do it because that's the right time. But all of them, obviously, I only know that all of them said they could do it within a month at the time, but that was back in January. But they said they would struggle because of the only problem they got was not their availability, but the weather constraints. But not only were the freezing and the rain were not issues that they wanted to overcome. But of all of them, as I've pointed out, and it's only my view from talking to them, I have confidence in both Metcalfe and RNC and Stonehenge, to be honest, that they're all very knowledgeable and all showed they knew what they were doing to do the job.
So the issue we have is, well, I might need to say that we're not obliged to accept the lowest quote.
No.
Not at all. We're not obliged to do that. Go.
I would like to propose that we accept R&C to do the work.
Okay, so I've got a seconder for that. Councillor Brooks. And if we vote on that proposal, that RNC do the work, and that's unanimously carried. Well done.
Thank you.
Sally Ann's
That's
comment
fine,
about them being stuck in the toilet that's waiting.
We don't want to stick in the toilet.
Oh, Metcalfe are big enough handle.
I know that's what it was an interesting point, but they've probably got lots of staff as well.
They have.
Right.
I mean, off the record now, I can say obviously, in a way, it's useful because they are very much a local firm.
I'll make sure you get the 10% discount.
Well,
Oh,
that's
yes,
a
that'd be
negotiation. Yeah.
Well, I did see on the paperwork there that R&C have included a provision for unusable stone. So they've already built that in the price, so presumably if there is all usable stone, they would be taking that.
Yep.
Yep.
Good decision, but that's not really not allowed to pass.
I hope you will allow me some negotiation with it and make certain we get the best price.
So thank you everybody. And we move on to item 11, which is the flag flying. Now I understand that you want, so what I propose,
I would like to defer that to the next council meeting.
what I'd like to suggest to you, and it is only that, is that actually we keep item 1, which is get permission to actually fly the flag, and then when it's flown, how it's flown, etc., etc. But whatever you, Martin, sorry,
Yes,
Councillor, it's your paper.
The problem is that some people haven't responded, and then obviously the item description is wrong as well. But I want to give people time to respond because most of you know that Oakham School may come to the morning event if it happens. They may come to the evening event if it.
When do you propose to come back?
So I want to come back at the annual meeting, which is about the week before
If
the.
you do it at the annual meeting, you can't. You do it at the next one, though.
If you go to the annual meeting, Councillor Brooks, if you take it to the annual meeting, it's after VE Day.
I thought the annual meeting was the 15th and VE Day is the 18th. Sorry if I'm going a bit stupid. But...
So are you saying you've got the date wrong on the May 8th, 2024?
Oh, if I'm thinking, I was thinking wrong this afternoon then. So we better do, basically, because I don't want to make it too public about all the issues. But I think I will just pull the paper and, make an amendment to the paper that we fly the anniversary, because we do have a VE Day flag,
Yes, we do.
but this year's a significant anniversary, and I bought a flag which I want to donate to the council,
Interesting.
and it says that it's VE Day and the date. So what I would like is that it isn't just taken down by someone and taken out of their high-vis
So,
jacket.
can I just have the proposal that you're proposing, that
I want
you're
it
going with
to
item
something
1?
nice, but yes, we'll have to be that, won't it?
I'm asking.
I'm just going to assume that we're not going to have an event, because we haven't got the time frame to get this sorted, because there's been too much to in and froing, and I don't want to make it too public, the issues behind it, but it's not good.
So are you proposing that we just, that your proposal now is removing item 2 and voting on item 1?
Where we just fly
Actual
the
papers.
special anniversary flag that I will be donating to the council, and all that is a Union Jack flag
Okay.
with the VE Day anniversary and the date. It's
And
nothing.
we have to have permission because it's not in our list of
Could I,
approved flags.
could I just say the VE Day is the 8th of May?
Yes, I confused it this afternoon. We're not surprising with all the things that I've been going backwards and forwards with.
Okay, so
So sorry about that
Councillor Brooks,
confusion.
you are, just to be absolutely clear, you're proposing that we we vote on item 1 and you will scrap or remove item 2. Can we do that?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's his paper. It's
So
an amendment.
item 1 remains as is, proposal 1 as is, and we're not voting on item 2.
And then I will write to at least 2 people who have responded and saying that we won't be having a formal flag raising.
Okay, thank you
So
for that.
I'll second the proposal 1
Thank you.
So it's an
Who's
Who's proposing it?
with the amendment.
Councillor Brooks is
Yes.
proposing number 1. You're
Yeah.
seconding it, Councillor Wadsworth. Let's have a vote on that, please, to support of proposal 1. So we will allow it to be flown.
And are the council happy to accept my flag
Yes.
As a gift.
as a gift?
Well, we'll have to check the quality.
Well, it's probably not as
I'm
good,
joking,
probably
I'm
not
joking,
as
I'm
good quality as the town ones, but it should last the weekend.
Thank you for,
Have
thank
you
you for
got it
that.
with you by chance?
I didn't, I forgot.
Right. Thank you very much for that.
But I will take a picture of it later and email it to
All right.
people, and then if anyone strongly disapproves, then
No, if it's a
the
flag.
council
it's a
can
flag.
go and get their own.
Ooh,
We
thank
can
you.
all go, wow.
So we've agreed to fly, and I don't think we need to. Yeah, okay, good. Agenda item 12. Agenda item 12 is concerned with the relocation to Victoria Hall. As previously stated, Councillor Wadsworth and I have checked this with the. Sorry, do you want to come in now?
No, I was a question before you finish.
Okay, good. Okay, so, and this is essentially saying that we have a head of terms. We know that we're going to be getting a grant, whatever that document is called, that we had last time for the grant we gave them. And this is actually, so the proposal is quite simply that there's creation of a new meeting room, Unit 339A, which is for public use. And all the advantages that are listed here. I think there's been a nice article already published on this, so I needn't go into too much detail as everybody's read the papers. So I'll throw it over to the floor for discussion. Councillor Duff.
On the effects of terms, the term 5 years from the 1st of November
Yes.
2025 to and including the 31st of October 2025. So we're being kicked out the day before we actually go in.
We will make sure that that's correct. There's some signing to be done, yes. Is that what it says?
Yes, it says 2025.
Oh God, yes, up to and including.
Presumably that should be
okay,
2030.
31st of October 2032. Yeah, we will make sure that's amended.
32.
To 2030.
6, I'm sorry.
5
Sorry,
years.
okay. 30, thank you. Sorry, who was speaking then? Oh, you finished?
I just wanted to make sure that
You won't go. I
That's changed.
think we're all going mad here.
Yes.
Councillor Clark.
I noticed that as well. The other question I noticed, do we know what the business rate is for what we'll be paying for business rates? Or,
We're paying the rent, we're not paying anything else.
We can still be liable for the business rent, but the answer to your question is it's going to be less than here.
yeah, but do we know what it is?
No, I
No.
don't. I doubt whether we know for that. We probably
Well,
know.
we know
probably
for
find out
now.
with the Victoria
We used
Hall.
to
Yeah.
But
pay
I
it.
don't think we know what it would be for the small office on the left, which is what we're actually paying.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be expected to contribute to the business rates.
Not. I could double check that in the
But
lease
that
and make
just
sure.
struck me as being as a possibility.
Yeah, the heads of terms need to be absolutely
Yeah.
clearer about
Yeah.
what happens with the business
Yeah.
rates. Yeah.
Please.
And presumably also the utilities.
They're all
Utilities,
included.
they're included.
They aren't here.
We know this. Part of the price plan, wasn't it?
Yes, I read.
As well, before we sign.
It's a momentous moment.
Just as a matter of note, I was at a meeting at the Victoria Hall last week or before, and it was warm, I have to say. It was a delight to go into the
That's good.
building.
Good.
First time in many
Councillor Brooks, you raised sorry, I was going to raise by email a question which I was going to answer.
Yeah, well, if I can just I'll probably bring it up in this,
Okay.
which is we have a meeting room which seems we will have limited access to, but it concerns me about the security in that meeting room, i.e. we recently bought a new board here which goes up on our chamber wall. We have all this twinning, we have old council regalia, swords, which we've got to be very careful with because of regulations of bladed articles. Where are they going to be stored? Or because if we're leaving a room which we're only going to be using, I think they say 2 Wednesdays each month, what's going to happen to all this when it's there? And who's going to make sure it doesn't get lost? Because it saddens me that we lost the Urban Town Council regalia, which I've now found on the video, which was a piece of wood it was on. It's gilded, so someone had polished the gold off the silver, but it was as long as that board. And it goes back decades of the Urban Town Council. Now that was lost in the last minute. Chris wasn't here, so we're not blaming anybody who's currently here, but what's to say that things are going to disappear from that
Can I answer that
room?
question? Can I answer that question? I mean, don't
Because
forget,
Chris is not going to want all this in his office. It's a
that's
tiny
exactly
office,
where it's
isn't
going
it?
to go.
You'll have to.
That's exactly where it's going to go,
Sure.
and we can perhaps make arrangements to wheel this in and out or something. But essentially, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be, for the majority of the time, it's going to be the
But also I have an issue with the meeting room only being available. When you consider how many ad hoc meetings happen in here, so if you want an ad hoc meeting, like for instance, I haven't been for a while because I don't think you've had them, the one that they called EGG,
Yeah, yeah.
the Economic
EGG.
Strategy Group, that meets in here.
Yes,
Chris is not going to want everyone meeting in his office, and he's going to share that with Kathy. I'm sure they're probably going to have a screen or something bought, but I'm not against this move. I was one who wanted it, you know, but I thought we were going to rent the spaces, and it would be our
Have you read the last
spaces.
paragraph of meeting room in this?
Yeah, I have, and that's
It
where
says-
we don't rent that. It's just going to be subject to.
It does actually say, through the amalgamation of use, blah, 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 and it's without charge, and at other times with reasonable prior notice and by arrangement with the landlord. So we just need to say, and we can anticipate most of these meetings quite a way ahead, so we can just say that we
I
need
hope
it at
so.
1800 on the 20, you know, in addition.
But also, I believe that I know it's a little point, but I think we never had 5 years before, because really that only gives a problem to what could be a completely new council. Oakham Town Council used to have 10-year agreements with Victoria Hall. And I think it's got to have some security. If you've got to go, we're going to have expenses of moving, which is fully understandable, but we don't want that in 5 years' time. We need to be in the situation where we have a lease that gives us a bit more security than just saying 5 years.
Are you suggesting that maybe we get solicitors involved in that?
Well, I was going to come to that because I read that do you want it, I think was the word, isn't it? So I think we should have a solicitor go over our side. And that's from what I've read, it's a perfectly acceptable document. But we don't know the legal.
I've been answered some of the questions. For business rates, we are liable. That states here in the terms. Services, it is gas, electricity, hot and cold water and sewage for the benefit of the tenants. And its use is to provide. The landlord is to provide gas, electricity, hot and cold water and sewage. And
we used to have to pay for the window cleaner 50 quid to clean one window.
So the only thing you're just saying we want the solicitor to give us the once over. So
and get them to advise whether they think that the 5 year is probably too short.
Too short.
Yes, because by the time we get in there, there'll be another election, and then people have got to start thinking, if Victoria Hall trustees change their mind, we could be gone in 5 years, and then looking for. And that has happened historically. They ended up renting a house in Barley Fort Road at one period many years ago.
I mean, that is the only concern to a certain extent. I agree with that. The councillors that are here in a year or 2 years' time, all respect, could be changed completely. We're signing ourselves up to a 5-year lease. It could be in 2 or 3 years' time, and the trustees could change too.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that there is no opt-out if the council decide.
Why don't we change? Go ahead.
Yeah, perhaps then, as with most business contracts, we consider a 3, 5 and 10 year break clause.
I think the best thing to do, we can certainly recommend that. I think what we need to do is we make the necessary adjustment to the heads of terms of the solicitor's advice regarding a 3, 5, 10 year break clause, and we need to determine what the business rates are. But apart from that, I think the business rates are going to be fixed regardless of that.
Yeah, Rutland County Council.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
So that's if they're still in existence.
Just knowing what they are.
So what I would propose is that we accept the proposal as she is writ, and that we add that the head of terms is given the once over by solicitor to ensure that our interests are protected.
What about the length of lease?
Yes, sorry, I wrapped that up in the statement that said that our interests are protected. So 3, 5, 10 year would be standard, so we can get advice on that, yes.
And obviously the one thing, and the chair agrees, is that the starting proposal is subject to a satisfactory report from
the surveyor.
Yeah, I don't understand that because we don't own the building.
We don't want to move into a building which has significant issues.
I think it's prudent, isn't it, to actually make
possibly because when I think back, Oakham Town Council had to pay for, well, they didn't have to, but they had to pay for the fire alarm system and the fire. There are special curtains that come down the windows when the fire alarms go off. We had to pay for them, but it was never in the original. So that's why it needs a solicitor to, a bit like we've done with our people, the allotments, where we say now they are responsible for fencing maintenance.
So the flow chart.
So it needs to be clear.
The flow chart in my mind is we obviously get the surveyor's report, we get a solicitor involved, you can see the surveyor's report too, and can see the heads of terms that we've got, and then give us advice.
Yeah.
And it needs to be written clearly that we are not responsible for that if it falls down or.
So,
well, it's got to be clear what we're
responsible for and what they will do.
yeah. So I think I would propose that we add an additional item C, with the following provision that says that the head of terms to take solicitor's advice to protect our interests, which is a generic statement, and then we take it from there.
Yeah, presumably this is all going to be drafted into a suitable contract anyway, so it will be fleshed out.
It'll have to come back.
Exactly, it fleshed out the head of terms. Well, we can bring back the head of terms.
Yeah, I'm just saying that bit has to come back to us, doesn't it, in a way?
What, the head of terms? What, you mean the council?
The contract.
Yes,
The contract, well, before it's signed.
Yeah.
But we are agreeing to.
So we're agreeing to move forward.
We're agreeing to move forward, but we're subject to acceptance. Item C, which is, So the head of terms is modified to protect our interests, and that will be brought back to council.
No
Is that what we're suggesting?
hidden surprises. That's what
we're saying that, is that a condition?
That's your
Yeah.
amendment.
Okay, so, and this will be taken back to council, okay.
Yes, because then we give the clerk and the chairman authority to sign on our behalf.
Well, you could, but
Good.
are we not taking it back to council? Is that what
Well, no, I'm saying that's what we will do when it comes back to council.
Oh, okay.
Once we've finally agreed the contract,
Okay, so,
we're unhappy, everybody.
Proposing that motion.
Are you the only thing I would suggest here, Councillor Chair, is that are the council happy that we start to move forward? Because obviously 6 months seems like a long time, but it's not a long time. I mean, are they happy for us to get quotes for this work?
I think
Because
so.
we will need 3 quotes pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to,
Yeah.
obviously the move's going to happen, isn't
Yeah.
it? So
We've got to move forward as though it's...
so we don't want to be
happen.
signing a contract in 6 months' time and then you have to sit there and say, actually, we need to do this.
Correct.
We haven't knocked that wall down yet.
exactly, nothing's happened.
There was some
So what we're actually saying is that we're going to agree basically, essentially the budget lines, and that we're going to take solicitor's advice on the head of terms, and that those, then we're going to bring those revised head of terms back to full council for final approval.
Yeah.
Is that
And,
what
and
we're
also
saying?
hoping...
And the survey can run alongside that.
Well, it's already in there, the survey bit.
Not
so-
the survey is already done. He's been there. Sorry, we should have said that. shouldn't we?
Sorry, yes.
Yes, he's already been.
Oh, we've done
He's-
so.
he's-
We approved that
he's
some
done
time
the
ago,
survey.
yeah.
He's already done that.
And
I was there when he did it,
Yeah.
and so I know that the report will be imminent. But the concern I have, and I think the chair has, is that we need to move forward with getting the quotes
Yeah.
with the trustees for the work that needs doing, and check. Obviously, it's a historic building, and just check with RCC if we need permissions for any of the work we're doing.
Okay, so we, amendment C, is everybody happy with the addition of that proposal that I talked about earlier, or do you want me to say it again? Okay, in which case I'd like to have a proposer. Is that
You're
what?
proposing, I'll second.
I'll propose, you second, and then can we have a vote on the amended proposal? That's unanimous. Good. Well done, everybody. Report number 13. I would never have a 13. Nothing that you have, so...
Well, it's me, isn't it? So
Exactly.
that's it all.
So, Councillor Wadsworth.
This is just a quick list of all the bands that have been booked for this year, and the cost of them is £5,250. It is just a case of noting. So we've got 4,750 left, if my maths is right, for anything else that we need to do, i.e. banners, leaflets. It's got the VE flag down there.
You
but
don't have to have the VE flag.
you don't have to put that on it, it's not that.
Scrub
so,
that
yeah, and the lighting of the beacon,
Morris.
whatever else we need, we've still got £4,000 to spend.
Yep.
So that's it, just noted.
No, hang on, there's a question.
Oh, sorry.
Have we seen all these people before? Are they-
All
most-
but one
Okay.
or two. But the rest of them definitely.
So we're happy with the...
Yes, I mean, one of the groups that I'm saying we don't know before, they were part of Funked Up, which used to play quite regularly and used to bring
Part
quite
of what?
Funked.
Oh.
I was very careful how I said that. So he's asked if he could bring his new band on, because it's such a good thing before we went, yeah, of course you can, mate.
I think
you
there's...
should be congratulated on putting this
Well,
together.
Kathy's done most of the hard work there. I just take all the praise.
As you should. Okay, can we have a...
No,
That's
No,
the note.
this is
Yeah.
noted,
Okay,
yes.
so moving on then.
There's only 2 on there that don't damage my ears.
Really?
Well, you'll have to go elsewhere then, won't
Well, I
you? Down
do.
to Loveland and do your digging.
No, I listen
Much as
up
I'm
at
enjoying the
your...
conversation, can we move on?
When you're ready.
Yeah. Item 14, cuts close roundabout contract for equipment. Again, this is to note, this is about the change of contractor from Placegate to Compound. We have done our number crunching.
You've got the papers there.
Someone's going to
papers,
ask a
yes.
question.
They're here, okay.
Sorry.
All right, so are there any questions
Yes.
about... Go ahead.
I've only a quick question that I did send in but hasn't been replied. Why has New Spain stepped back from doing
Yes,
our
that's
work?
what I was going to ask.
I'll leave that to the chair, actually.
No reason's been given. And I know Councillor Brooks has pursued it with him in an individual email.
He didn't reply
And he
because
hasn't
I wanted to know.
We would all like to know why he stepped back,
But that's his
we've
thing.
had no reply.
All I can tell you officially is that, all the council knows, in February, we put forward, and it was accepted, that they would do the roundabout. We got verbal assurances from them that that would be done, because this is UKSPF funding, and they gave us verbal assurances that it would be done by the last financial year. In March, we phoned, and that verbal reassurance disappeared, and it became clear they wouldn't be doing the work until late April, early May. And we sought to get a firm date when they would do the work, and that is when, and I expect the chair could read out the exact wording
No need.
that we got from the director of the company, which is, we no longer want any more work to be done with this council.
Yeah.
Sure, they have their reasons, and hopefully they'll share.
I
them
would,
with us.
maybe I shouldn't say the reason, but I would suggest maybe it had something to do with the resurfacing of the play area. But I was
That would be speculation.
Yes, but I was concerned that I didn't think it was appropriate that his name appeared with something that looks like that, which has raised questions. I think it should have just said plants. Not plant. That is a company, Plantscape, but it should have probably have just said Playscape Limited.
Okay, duly noted, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just ask the other question as well?
Please.
Because I haven't had time to have a look, but is the price that they're quoting for their roundabout the same as what we'd already agreed?
Round about the same.
I think it's
good
cheaper.
It's actually cheaper.
Cheaper by about 200 or 300.
Right, okay.
I can give you the exact price if you wish.
No. As long as it's
Okay, but
round about the same, that's
The
all.
one thing-
Don't keep me saying that, it just
the one
comes
thing
out.
For obvious reasons, and I'm sorry this didn't go in the papers, but we probably need to do something about it fairly soon, and probably now, is obviously that Playscape used to do our Roscoe inspections. Compound have offered to do it at a similar price, £300 an inspection.
Yeah,
I'm asking if the council have any objections to them taking on that work, because obviously health and safety is very
No.
important to us, and we need to get that going now. If
Yes,
there's
it
no
says May
problem
the
with that.
20th. May,
I
so we need to get that.
I'm not particularly worried about the cost difference, but my concern is that we use Wicksteed, who, if people have seen it, produce a very good report, and it's not hundreds of pounds. And Wicksteed is a slightly more local company that struggles, and I know it's the saying every little helps, and I don't understand why we would. I know it's their suggestion, but I don't understand why, when they provide a very good traffic light system report, which we are now acting on, why we need to change it. And I think we should be supporting Wicksteed.
With Wicksteed, we haven't had them as a roster inspection for...
You haven't. So who's doing it then? Because you still get the traffic.
Yeah, the
that was
Playscape were doing it.
Oh, Playscape. Sorry, I just saw the thing with the traffic lights a little while ago.
I mean,
Sorry,
the idea behind this, I should say to the council, is we'll do just one with Compound and see what they're like.
Well, I think we also need to actually do one with Compound, and then we can then review it for a further
Well,
3 months. don't we?
It does concern me though if you use the same company, because that's originally why we were with Wicksteed, because of using these two companies to provide things.
Yeah.
That you use an independent person, because although Wicksteed, as you've seen on them, does include a cost which were astronomical for their replacement, you then got an independent quotes from these two companies.
Okay, thank you.
So I think
It was to know, is there anybody got anything else they want to say? Okay, thank you very much indeed. So we'll proceed with Compound, and then for the first immediate, and then we'll come back to council with looking at other companies. Good. For the roster reports.
It's a shame we
because
lost
we
the
need to do
local
the
one.
hospital report now because obviously Placegate will
Yeah.
need to do it and we need to get it done now.
Good, thank you very much indeed. So that's the note. Moving on then, we're now looking at the grant application. And I'm right in saying that actually we're in a new financial year, aren't we? So we're going to complete that £3,000.
We have £3,000 in this budget.
Okay, good. Opening up the floor.
I think we should go ahead with it. It's a local thing. We've backed the group with their, it's not Moonlight Walk, I can't remember what it's called, what do they call it?
Yeah.
Their walk anyway. We've always helped them out with that. They don't now ask for money for that, but obviously they started a fresh thing and they need a little bit of backing for it, and as far as I'm concerned, I think we should go ahead and help them.
So is that, oh sorry, you want to speak?
Is that
Councillor Brooks? Sorry.
If it, no, I mean, if,
I was going to say who wants to second it, but...
No, I was going to echo what Sally Ann Wadsworth has said, because to me, this is what the grants were set up for, not to give it all away to one big organisation. It was set up to help small local...
Without cutting you short, are you seconding the motion?
Well, no, people have got to speak, haven't they?
No.
they can still speak after you say.
Okay, have you proposed it?
I'll propose
You
the
have proposed it,
acceptance.
yeah.
Okay, then I'll second it.
Thank you.
And just say, well done that we've got an application from something which is very good,
Yeah.
local community.
So, are there any more comments from the floor?
No. I'm telling you, they're all doing it.
We've got a proposal, we've got a second, can we have a vote on accepting the grant?
You will not say anything.
So we are accepting the grant application unanimously.
Because that means if we stuck to that sort of figure in the future, we could support 10 local community groups in a year.
I know, but you're right, but at the moment we don't have a policy on that. Someone
No.
can come up with £3,000 and it's up
Yeah.
to the council to accept it or
Yeah,
reject it.
we need to review our grants policy.
Okay, thank you everybody. So we now come to item 16, which is matters for consideration in private.
You mean 17?
16.
Oh, sorry, I'm
16.
just because I'm...
It is able to.
16.
16 is...
Matters for consideration in private. Resolved that the press and public be excluded from the meeting during consideration of the following items on the grounds that they relate to individuals, financial affairs, etc. And this is actually because of the fact we're discussing issues in paragraph 16. So can I have a vote, a proposal please to accept, going into exempt session, proposed by Councillor Dathwaite and seconded by Councillor Wadsworth. Can I have that vote please? Thank you very much.
Mine was again.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bye.
so that's... Do you want that recorded, Councillor?